post-commission meeting. If IT could mute the on lines for now until they get settled in, we'd appreciate it. Also, I want to make a reminder that commissioners, when you're addressing, please state your name so that the court reporter can get that in there anytime you're making a motion or seconds. Those of you in the audience that are going to be coming to the podium, if you'll notice, these microphones are kind of sensitive and the red lights will go on and off. If you would pull that microphone up to you, hit speak and try to speak into that microphone so that we can hear it and it will be on the record. With that being said, we will look at adoption of the agenda. Well, may need to go to a roll.
Adoption
matters.
Adoption of the agenda. First, if you could, Chairman.
Is there any additional corrections that anybody sees on the board with the agenda? I'll entertain a motion to adopt the agenda. Have a motion by Commissioner Halsey and second by Chief Isabel. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the agenda indicate by saying aye. Opposed? Hearing none, agenda passes.
Time for a roll call. Commissioner Birchfield, Commissioner Carter, Commissioner Cherry, Commissioner Green, Commissioner Halsey, Commissioner Isbell, Commissioner Jackson, Commissioner Russell, Commissioner Spangler, Commissioner Wagoner, Commissioner Wright, Vice Chair Faulkner, Chairman Parton.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Disclaimer.
All post commissioners have previously agreed to recuse themselves from any vote that would constitute a conflict of interest. The most obvious of these would include issues that involve our own departments or some that they know personally. Because they've already agreed to this, it should be noted that on routine matters, it will be assumed non-verbally that these commissioners have abstained from that vote. In bigger, more controversial issues that may have a more overt conflict of interest, that may have an appearance of impropriety, those applicable commissioners will still verbally abstain from those votes.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
I was wanting to point out we do have one new commissioner that was not on roll call. If we
Yes,
want me to
that
add.
is. I'd like to. I think that would be appropriate here, Commissioner. Everybody would like to introduce you to our new commissioner, Jonathan Beverly. He comes to us from Smyrna Police Department just down the road, so it's good to have another Middle Tennesseeer here that can attend some meetings in a quick notice.
And you are noted as present.
Thank you very much. Happy to be here.
Thank you. Moving on to the April meeting minutes. Is there any commissioners that see any issues with the minutes from last month's meeting?
Make a motion to approve Spangler.
Spangler, a motion to approve.
Commissioner Wright, second.
Second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the minutes indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, minutes are approved. Decertification hearings held for May.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. The informal committee met yesterday, and just to go over the decisions that were made, Tadarius M. Bean, the Memphis Police Department, his attorney appeared and asked for that to be placed in an active status pending the outcome of his charges and other legal matters. That was accepted by the informal committee. Maurice Cox, the Memphis Police Department, that was a default order for resignation with disciplinary action pending. In the case of Tyler Emmets of the Smyrna Police Department, the informal committee decided to place that into a suspended status until a pre-employment packet was filed. The Memphis Police Department and Jonathan A. Hightower, who resigned with disciplinary action pending. That was a default order of decertification for that resignation with disciplinary action pending. Dustin Hood of the Sumner County Sheriff's Office, the informal committee voted in favor of a default order of decertification for his resignation with disciplinary action pending. The Johnson City Police Department and Andrew J. J. Lewis. There was no action taken on that by the informal committee. Cody M. Mullins of the Elizabethton Police Department. That was a default order of decertification after he resigned in lieu of termination. The Memphis Police Department, Freddie O. Romero. The commission determined to take no action in that particular case. Keith Snyder of the Memphis Police Department, again, that was no action in that one as well. And the Clarksville Police Department, Vaughn S. Webster, a default order of decertification, Mr. Webster, for his termination from the police department.
Thank you, sir. Any discussion on those matters from the committee?
Commissioner Wright. If we could get some clarification on the Tamaris Bean, I think the administrative secretary said it was to remain active. It's suspended, not active.
Well, his certification, or we give people the opportunity to place their cases in a suspended status with us in order for them to be able to conduct their legal business.
When you read it out, you said it was active, not suspended.
Oh, sorry. No. Okay. Yes. Sorry.
I just was trying to clear it up that it was
Okay.
suspended, not active.
Yes. We have suspended that case until the conclusion of his other legal matters. I'm sorry for that confusion. First cup of coffee.
Thank you, Commissioner Wright. That's a very important point made. Any other discussion on the decertifications held yesterday for the month of May? If not, entertain a motion to approve. Have Commissioner Hulsey,
Commissioner Wright, second.
Commissioner Wright, second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none. On to top of page 3, pre-employment waivers requirements. Cumberland County Sheriff's Office.
The Cumberland County Sheriff's Office requests a criminal record waiver for Tyler Scott Ashburn, hired March 22nd, 2023. In July of 2020, Mr. Ashburn was charged with a DUI in Cookeville, Tennessee. In September of 2020, Mr. Ashburn pled guilty to a lesser charge of reckless endangerment. Mr. Ashburn has since satisfied all court-ordered sentencing fines and fees.
Thank you. Representatives of Cumberland County, are you present today? Can you come forward and identify yourselves, please? Gentleman in the uniform, Sergeant, could you start, please?
I'm Sergeant Dustin Jackson with the Cumberland County Sheriff's Office.
Good morning. Can you briefly go over with the commission what you found in this pre-employment investigation and explain to them what you're asking for?
He has completed all fines and everything, and we are seeking employment for him. Sorry, I wasn't prepared more. He's taking care of everything, and it's just employment, sir.
Mr. Ashburn,
Yes, sir.
can you identify yourself for us for the record?
Yes, I am Tyler Scott Ashburn from Cumberland County.
Mr. Ashburn, what are you currently doing for employment right now?
I'm currently an FTO for the Cumberland County Sheriff's Office. So I'm just preparing myself for hopefully employment with the Cumberland County Sheriff's Office.
Say FTO, what are you doing in the FTO status?
Field training officer. So I'm riding with another officer that has been through the academy that is certified. So I'm just training with them and learning the steps and process behind being an officer.
Currently employed with Cumberland County right now? Are you getting a paycheck from them?
I'm currently employed with them.
You are? You have a uniform?
Yes, sir.
You carry a gun?
Yes, sir.
Let me talk to your sergeant again. Sergeant, you may not be prepared for this, but this up here says pre-employment. He's just testified that he is employed.
Yes, sir.
We're supposed to do this before we employ.
I was told to be here today, sir.
I understand.
That's the
I'm
best
just
I can answer.
I'm just
That's-
preparing you. I'm just preparing you.
May I speak on that?
Yes, sir, you may.
So before all this occurred, before I got hired, the captain at our sheriff's office said that I wasn't able to come through here and do this process without being employed with Cumberland County Sheriff's Office.
Well, he just informed you wrong. Okay. If you would, while you're here, go ahead and give us a little bit of information about your DUI in Cookeville in September of 2020, because I'm sure this board wants to ask you some more questions.
So in 2020, July 18th, I was driving while intoxicated. I shouldn't have been. I went down a road that I've never been on before. And I was trying to turn back around. I got stuck. At this time, I was calling people to try to come and help me, or at least pick me up, because I didn't realize how intoxicated at the time I was. They called for help. A Cumberland County Sheriff's Office showed up, realized who I was, and at this time, I was employed with Cumberland County, but I was in the jail at this time. The officer had to call for THP. THP came out to where I was located, gave me some sobriety tests, and then he took me in for a DUI. In September of 2020, I went to court on the charge. Judge ruled that he was going to drop the charge to reckless endangerment. For that, I had 1129 on probation. 6 months, I already had all my fines paid, everything taken care of. I also got a waiver from the judge and my lawyer and the Cumberland County Sheriff's Office after 6 months of being on probation that I could be back employed in the jail with them, as long as that I didn't get any more trouble from still being on probation.
You've been a corrections officer with Cumberland County for some time.
Sir,
Okay, so you didn't lose your job over this arrest.
I did lose my job in the time period of my 6 months probation that I was paying my fines. It was supervised probation at the time for the 6 months. So in that current time, I was employed with a construction job, just waiting for me to be able to go back into the sheriff's department.
Questions of the board?
This Commissioner Cherry, did you do a blood test or a breathalyzer when they
He did take me to the hospital and got blood tested, and my recollection was about 0.18.
Okay, 0.18. That's a fairly high BAC. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes, I do agree.
What time of day was this when you got stopped?
It was about, my recollection, about 2:00 in the morning.
Had you been at a gathering, some kind of a party or something? What were the circumstances of your drinking?
We went to Knoxville, Tennessee, had a couple of drinks there, and then when we got back to Crossville, we did go to a bar, and I had a few drinks there. I didn't realize how much I did have to drink.
What are your drinking practices now?
I currently do not drink.
Not at all.
No, not at all. After that night, I quit drinking.
Any other questions of this?
Commissioner Carter, I may have missed it, but the reckless endangerment charge has been expunged.
No, sir, it can't be expunged until 2 more years.
Okay, so
This is Commissioner Cherry again. With the reckless endangerment charge, usually that involves another person that's put in danger. Was anyone with you in the car that night
No, sir. I was all by myself that night.
and down on a country road?
I was down on a
understanding?
county road, and all I did is just spin around, and I got stuck in like a ditch line, pretty much.
So for my attorneys here, the reckless endangerment, are you still under you're still under the courts of Cumberland County?
For the reckless, yes, sir.
Or
Yes, sir.
we're kind of at a moot point here. If he's still under the courts, you can't be a post-certified officer. You need to come back and see us and out from underneath. That's nothing we can do about that.
This is Commissioner Cherry again. So are you on some kind of probation or not? Or what is your status with the court? What's their supervision over you at this stage?
Just when I had my probation at the beginning of after court, it was 11/29. I finished it up in 6 months. I even got approved for the court system at that time by my lawyer.
Okay, so there is nothing pending with the courts at this stage. Is that
Nothing
correct?
pending with the court.
Okay, so you're no longer under the jurisdiction of the court. Is that what you're telling us?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I'm just waiting for 2 more years to be able to expunge it.
Okay, so the issue isn't being under the jurisdiction of the court for this offense. It's a matter of waiting the statutory time frame so you can have this
Yes, sir.
this charge expunged.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Okay, it was a little more clarification in. And
This meeting is being recorded.
if you'll go down to commissioners into page 8 of his packet, you'll see in the General Sessions Court of Cumberland County stated. Ashburn is released from further supervision in this matter, so that clarifies what I brought up.
This is Commissioner Green. How old were you at the time of this offense?
I was 27 years old.
Okay, thank you.
This is Commissioner Faulkner. I guess I can't get past the fact that they're asking for pre-employment waiver when he's already employed and working in the field with a patrol officer in uniform and armed.
Understand that, and I think did you go back to work in the jail? Have you been brought out to the patrol division from the jail?
No, I left the jail in 2021 for about 6 months. At the time, I was currently going through some stuff. So I got employed with another company and decided that I wanted to go back.
So you've been actually hired by the department straight in patrol to do this FTO that you're doing?
Yes, sir. I was working with the jail for about 3 years.
Regulation on this, and we'll probably run into this some more, we do every meeting, is pre-employment means exactly what that means. Pre-employment, that's before somebody has to lose their job, leaving here today, going back to Crossville, Tennessee without a job. We like to get these matters dealt with before they go to HR and get their name on a paycheck. We need to get all this. Any other questions?
Commissioner Wright, I think everybody knows kind of where I sit as far as timelines, and for me, there's not been enough time has elapsed during this period, and I'm going to have to make a motion to deny the waiver.
Motion to deny. Commissioner Green has a second. Any discussion on the motion? If I hear no discussion on the motion. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Sir, I'm sorry, but you need to go back and sit down with the sheriff and the chief deputy and explain what's going on, and you can come back, or your department can bring you back sometime from now. I would say particularly after your expungement and you've got all this cleared up. Okay, thank you. Moving on, Hendersonville Police Department.
Hendersonville Police Department requests reconsideration of a military discharge waiver for Michael James Butler. On November 23rd, 2018, Mr. Butler was discharged from the United States Coast Guard under honorable conditions for failure of a drug test and wrongful use or possession of a controlled substance.
For reconsideration, when was this last on the docket? Do we know? September? Hendersonville, are you here? Oh, come on up, sir. You're recognized.
Morning, Commander Larry Daniel, Hendersonville Police Department. We do ask to come back to request this board reconsider respectfully to grant a waiver for the military discharge for Michael Butler. Since September, Mr. Butler has remained employed with us, but in a civilian status. I'm commander over our support staff, support services bureau, and I have command over several civilian employees to include records department, IT, building maintenance, and Mr. Butler has been assisting in those areas, mostly with our building maintenance and in our training office. He helps us move supplies, serves as role player in scenarios for training and those kind of things.
Any questions of the board or the commander? I guess the question would be, what's changed between September and now?
Well, for us, we honestly believe that Mr. Butler, his mistake was not an intentional one for wrongdoing. So we've also patiently been waiting for the board in DC to reconsider his discharge application to change the status of that. We understand that his application is in a stack to be approved, but that board is that it's comprised of. The doctor that sits on that board retired, I believe, back in the fall or early winter, and they haven't replaced that position yet so that they could resume that and have his discharge reversed altogether. But with a letter from his former commander supporting him and supporting that change, we still believe that Butler will be a great asset to our department if we can move forward with a discharge waiver granted while we continue to wait for that other board to reconvene and hopefully in the future even reverse his discharge status altogether.
Any comments or questions from the board?
This is Commissioner Cherry. Just for clarification, is this the matter that we had before where the discharge paperwork had been heavily redacted? No. This isn't that one? No. Okay. I just want to make sure we weren't talking about that case. If I may, let me just kind of jump in here for a moment. I think we've talked about this before, but in the military, there are a number of different kinds of discharges you can get. There are discharges that are called punitive discharges that result from a court-martial. That's when you can get like a dishonorable discharge or a bad conduct discharge. Those are associated with court proceedings. And then there are administrative discharges, and this is one of those. There are three types of administrative discharge. The honorable discharge is the one that everybody wants to get, that they can frame and put on their wall, and it's a good thing. There's an other than honorable discharge, which is the more negative of three options for administrative discharges. those are something that, under our rules, I think that prohibits a person from being a police officer. There's a general discharge under honorable conditions, and that's what this discharge is. It's kind of that middle zone. It's not an honorable discharge, but it's not under other than honorable conditions. When we're talking about drug cases, and my experience is with the Marine Corps, so I don't know that the Marine Corps is a whole lot different than the Coast Guard. My dealings with the Coast Guard, which is a very small service, I've had very little association with the Coast Guard. I trained with some coasties way back when I was a young officer, but I think across the services, the attitude toward drug abuse is pretty consistent and pretty similar. And typically, if a person pops positive in a urinalysis for some kind of drug, they usually go out with an other than honorable discharge. If you see a situation where a service member has received a general discharge under honorable conditions for some kind of drug abuse, that means that the command thought somewhat highly of the service member, and so they did not give him that most negative characterization. When you look over the circumstances as they've been described in our packet for this gentleman, this is not the typical kind of case that we used to see where folks go out to a party with friends that they thought they left behind when they came into the service, and they're out, they smoke a joint or they eat a brownie, and or they go to a party and they snort something or put something in their drink or something to get a buzz. This is a different kind of situation where it appears that this gentleman took some medication for pain, but it wasn't properly prescribed to him. Apparently it was his mother's prescription, and she gave it to him because he was hurting. Instead of going to the doctor like they should have, he took something from mom. And if I'm not characterizing that right, maybe you can correct me here in just a moment, but the reason I'm going through this whole thing is just so that we can get a clear view of what we're dealing with. I mean, it's still misconduct for which this person was discharged from the Coast Guard. It's still something that's bad enough for him to get booted out of the Coast Guard. How bad is it? Is it something that he can recover from, and we could allow him to be a police officer as he learned whatever he needs to learn and gone on and can be productive? That's the decision we need to make here. So I just wanted to throw that out there.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments regarding this case?
Mr. Chairman. Commissioner Beverly.
Mr. Beverly.
Thank you. It says that you completed a military divergence program. What was the date of that completion?
That completion was, I believe, May of 2019, sir.
Green.
This is Commissioner Green. Was it just one failed drug test, or were there more than one?
Yes, sir. It was just one failed drug test.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Wright. I'd like to hear a little bit more about the arrest for driving under the influence, August of 2018. That was a little less than, looks like the commanding officer that talked to a district attorney for you on that.
Yes, sir. On August 1st of 2018, I was arrested for driving under the influence. I was lucky enough to be put into a military divergence program where, upon completion, it wasn't put on my record criminally. I wasn't punished for it administratively in the Coast Guard. Just completion of that program gave me that opportunity. So.
Right, again, can you tell us circumstances around that? Was you stopped for speeding, running stop sign, vehicle crash? What was the circumstances?
Sure. I was in a vehicle crash where I collided with another vehicle. It was my fault, and that was the start of why I got that DUI.
It's Commissioner Green again. So in May, you failed a drug test, and in August, you were arrested for DUI. Was that alcohol or drugs?
Alcohol.
And what was your blood level for that?
0.15.
Was anybody injured in the collision?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Spangler, did that occur on post or was that off?
That was off base.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
Commissioner Carter, just to be clear, the under honorable condition, is that pending to other than honorable, or is it going straight to honorable discharge?
It will be going straight to honorable discharge. My commanding officer that discharged me has given me his full support and recommendation to the Coast Guard Discharge Review Board to have that upgraded. I submitted my upgrade paperwork a little over 2.5 years ago, and in October I heard word back that they had lost my discharge upgrade paperwork, so I had to restart the whole process again. But it will be eventually upgraded to a full honorable, sir.
Thank you.
Commissioner Russell, you recognize.
Is it working now? Yeah. I was looking at the September 16th, 2022 notes. It looked like we voted to approve it and it failed. Then we voted to disapprove it and it failed. And then we had another vote to approve it and it failed. I guess we may have tied or whatever, but looks like that's what happened.
Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, what's the wishes of the board?
Commissioner Wright, I guess let's go one of two ways. I'll go ahead and make a motion for no action.
Have a motion for no action by Commissioner Wright.
Second.
Have a second by Commissioner Isbell. Any discussion on this motion presented?
Sherry, so is that the same as a motion to deny the request for the waiver?
Any other discussion? Hearing none, with the motion that is presented, all in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Come back and see us later on. Okay. Thank you.
Moving on, the Jefferson County Sheriff's Office requests reconsideration of a military discharge waiver for David Michael Dragan, hired January 1, 2023. In March of 2003, Mr. Dragan was discharged from the United States Navy with a general under honorable conditions discharge.
Thank you. Jefferson County with us this morning. Can you come up? Morning.
Morning.
Can you identify you? Thank you.
Sergeant Chris Barnes, General Departmental Instructor for Jefferson County Sheriff's Office.
Reagan, Jefferson.
So, talk to us a little bit about what you're looking at here.
Given our decision from last month's agenda, immediately left the academy, ceased any uniformed work with the sheriff's office, assumed the civilian role of handling office traffic as far as receiving messages, passing messages along to CID, has done vehicle maintenance as far as moving emergency equipment for the type of duties. Large paperwork as best as we could. And looking at that, that eligible for re-enlistment. Code that was listed there did not indicate any type of disabling emotional, mental, psychological factors or physical factors. Would like to have that. Also is our status.
Was this a case where you had gotten into it with a drill instructor or somebody?
It was, so, sir, I was in Okinawa, stationed in Okinawa, and I was applying for a special reconnaissance school, and it was a physical agility test. And for whatever reason, the NCO decided that I had not passed, and I had put my heart and soul into it, and I just lost my temper. Yes, sir.
Or for anger issues or anything?
Not really. They had me talk to a counselor to make sure I wasn't, like super angry. But other than that, no. He sent me to captain's mast. The CO thought it was best we separated, and that was that.
Did I review psychological information? Comments there. Post for me with Dr. Law's opinion on his status was I could find not been any department not at the academy.
So it was my understanding last time you were here, you were currently in which academy?
Walter State, sir.
You were in Walter State.
Yes, sir.
And you were employed, and
yes, sir.
Again, we were going back to these pre-employment issues, but it sounds like Jefferson County pulled you from the academy.
Yes, sir.
And you're doing civilian work for the department.
All the storage supply closets are
in
well
plain
kept now,
clothes
sir.
and no guns.
No,
and
sir.
Badges and uniforms and all that stuff. So you're kind of starting all over again.
Yes, sir.
Is that my understanding of where we're at?
If I could, just a little bit of background for the commission. I got a call from Sergeant Barnes almost wasn't immediately after the meeting, but it was that afternoon, and Sheriff's Office made these changes immediately, and they were very eager to get into compliance. So I appreciate that, Sergeant.
Commissioner Halsey.
Commissioner Halsey, you recognize.
Thank you. Yes, sir. To make sure I understand it, did you punch the guy? Did you hit the guy? Or would it be criminal what you did off the base?
No, absolutely not, sir. It was just verbal. That's all.
Okay, thank you.
Yes,
Mr. Chairman.
You recognize, Mr. Beverly.
How old were you when this happened?
2003, I was 20.
Okay.
This is Commissioner Green, and we had this discussion when we had this before.
Yes, sir.
And your DD 214 was redacted. We didn't have the separation on the copy that we had. So
Okay.
It shows here personality disorder as a reason. And you said now that they did send you to a counselor over initially after this disagreement with your supervisor.
I'm not entirely sure if it was a real counselor. They sent me to the base clinic. Yes, but I don't think I talked to a certified counselor. No.
I told you I had concerns about a personality disorder being a mental issue.
Yes, sir.
Was the psychologist that did your evaluation, were they aware that this is what your release from the military stated?
The psychologist for
the police
pre-employment?
department? Yes, sir.
As far as I'm concerned, yes, sir.
Okay.
He asked me and I explained everything to him.
I think that's all right now.
Any other questions?
I'll just ask one more question. This is Commissioner Cherry. Can you tell us what you've been doing since you left the Marine Corps?
I've actually been a firefighter EMT the entire time. And I'm technically part-time right now, to this day.
Any other comments or statements?
This is Commissioner Green. It's more of a comment. I still have concerns of a official document saying personality disorder, which is a mental issue, despite what the psychologist says personally. So
I will say, on a personal note of dealing with these DD 214s in years past, there's hundreds, if not thousands, of different types of codes in DD 214s, and you can get one. They can really mess somebody up. I know I've dealt with this with a couple of employees that I inherited when elected, and when you really dug into the issue and even had a congressional office look into a few of these. It turned out it wasn't exactly what the code was, and I can see where somebody gets flagged, and you've got somebody in a unit that maybe have some personality conflicts, and then somebody stamp a code on you, and if that's the case here or what. But I do commend Jefferson County for coming back, immediately doing the right thing in the pre-employment and correcting this situation and pulling a gentleman out of the academy and then coming back and reapplying in the right way. I do give credit to that. He seems to, from observation here, he looks kind of squared away now. And I understand that your department, there was been a psychological done in Jefferson County or whoever does it for you.
Psychological has been done. I do have a sealed copy of his confidential here, and the psychologist does reference his discharge status. There was no qualifying factors that he could find.
Shown any signs of any issues while working as a EMT, fireman, paramedic?
Background check. There are comments that workers, supervisors, academy. And
are you married?
Yes, sir.
Have children?
I have a almost 4-year-old daughter, a 16-year-old son, and a 12-year-old daughter.
Domestic issue life?
No, absolutely not.
Mr. Holsey, I make a motion to approve the waiver.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve the waiver. Any more discussion on the motion? Second was Commissioner Cherry. Hearing no discussion, all in favor of this motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No. Roll call.
Okay, roll call vote. Commissioner Carter. Commissioner Cherry. Commissioner Green. Commissioner Halsey.
Aye.
Commissioner Isbell. Commissioner Jackson. Commissioner Russell. Commissioner Spangler. Commissioner Wright. Vice Chair Faulkner. Chairman Parton. Aye. Commissioner Beverly.
Aye.
Did I miss anybody? I've got an old list here. Ayes have it.
Ayes have it. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Good
Thank
work.
you, sir.
Red Bowling Springs Police Department.
Red Boiling Springs Police Department requests a criminal record waiver for Ross Tillman House. In February of 2013, Mr. House was charged with DUI first offense in Warren County, Kentucky. In April of 2014, Mr. House was charged with DUI second in Clay County, Tennessee. Mr. House pled guilty to both charges and since satisfied all court-ordered sentencing fines and fees.
Red Bowling Springs, can you come to the podium, please? Good morning. Can you identify yourselves for the record, please?
Morning. My name is James Kilman. I'm the police chief of Red Bowling Springs.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Ross Tillman House.
Chief, can you talk with the board about what you found in your pre-employment investigation on Mr. House?
Yes, sir. About 3 months ago, Mr. House decided he wanted to join the law enforcement side of he already is employed with the city as our sanitation truck driver. Throughout our pre-employment investigation, we found that he did receive a DUI in Warren County, Kentucky, up in Bowling Green when he was 21. Is that correct? He had met a Tennessee girl up there in college, and they participated in some behavior that college folks do. And got pulled over by Bowling Green and received his first DUI and went through a pattern of self-destruction for a little bit over a year. Thought he'd test his luck with Clay County and received the same DUI, pled the DUI first. Since then, he has seen the error of his ways. He stopped drinking. Both of them have. He married the girl he met. They've been married for 5 years. 5 years, live in Clay County, and he's not drank since then, since his last one. He has satisfied all the pre-employment psychological, medical. This was our last hurdle to see if we can get him in the academy.
Is he? I heard you say that he's working as a truck driver for sanitation. Do you hold a CDL?
Yes, sir, I do.
That was a pretty big obstacle to get a CDL with 2 priors. That's a pretty big obstacle.
Gained his CDL commission in 2019. He's managed to hold it to it since then.
Questions from the board?
Commissioner Carter, was your license suspended?
Yes, sir, it was.
How long was it suspended?
A year.
Okay, thank you.
This is Commissioner Green. I'm looking at an arrest report from Clay County, and it at the very bottom of it, it says subject also had D, and then it looks like it stops. It's either been redacted or whatever. What else did you have in your possession at the time of the Clay County arrest? Do you have drugs with you?
No, sir.
Okay.
Commissioners, if I may, I noticed the same thing, and it was a typo from the clerk's office or from the deputy that was typing the warrant.
Chairman.
Recognize Mr. Beverly.
Sir, I'm reading, it appears to be, forgive me, page 19 of this. It's in Warren District Court. It says DUI first offense with aggravator, and I'm not familiar with Kentucky's code. What is the aggravator?
Just a higher alcohol BAC.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments from the board?
Commissioner Green, again, further on down, I'm looking. Did you work at Bowling Green Police Department as a reserve officer?
Not a reserve officer. I was a police cadet. It was just a part-time employment opportunity to handle like lower level calls for the police department there. I was in a uniform, but not a police uniform, just a separate cadet uniform. Yes.
Commissioner, just so we have our dates straight, it looks like you pled to the second offense in 2014. Is that right? What was the date of the actual event that you were arrested for? Do you remember? Okay, so it was still in 2014. Okay. And it looked like your blood alcohol level was pretty high, like 0.2 something. That's almost getting to the stage where you get concerned about alcohol poisoning. But since that time, you've kind of recognized, hey, maybe that wasn't such a great idea. And
yes, sir.
Then you've stopped drinking altogether. Is that my understanding? Okay, great.
Commissioner Halsey.
You recognize, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. I'm for anybody bettering themselves and mending fences. And when I hired on, you could not have a jailable misdemeanor and be a police officer in this state, let alone a second DUI. When if somebody runs your driving history, this DUI is going to be on there. It hasn't even expired yet. I have real problems in these types of cases, and therefore, Mr. Chairman, I move to deny.
I have a motion and a second to deny. Is there any discussion on the motion?
Yeah, I think we need to have some discussion. This is Commissioner Cherry.
Recognize Commissioner Cherry.
Thank you. I think Commissioner Halsey's comment in the beginning was, I agree with that. You know, we see people make mistakes and do things that are pretty stupid, and making two mistakes is pretty bad too. But at the same time, you know, people can recover, they can change, they can put their lives in order, and this is a situation where I think that's happened. It's been 9 years since this happened. That's a pretty good amount of time to make a lot of changes and to put his life on track. He's been able to get his commercial driver's license, which shows that somebody somewhere had some faith in him in spite of these two past indiscretions from a long time ago. And the department has faith in him. He's been working for the city without incident, or so it appears. I think if there were some problems with the city, we would have heard about it. And if the department believes in him, I think they deserve our support. And they know him better. They're taking the risk on this, although I would suggest that the risk is minimal if he's got a clear record after 9 years. So I'll be voting against this motion, and hope that we can give the department and this gentleman a chance.
Thank you. Any other discussion on the motion?
Isbell, and just to point out also, in the 2014 arrest, he was not even on the scene any longer, and received a call and was brought back, if I'm reading the information correct. Took full responsibility, and therefore was charged with that DUI. And that goes to me for the character. And he made mistakes, obviously, and he's been, from everything we've been presented today, has been in the clear for the last 9 or so years, including a CDL, which again is not an easy task to do. So that's just something to think about.
On the comments, I would say that the municipality evidently their insurance company did with it. I mean, driving a commercial truck for the city of Red Bowling Springs, which in today's time is as big a liability as a person carrying a gun here. But any other comments or discussion on the motion? Hearing none, I'll take a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No. Roll call.
Commissioner Carter, Commissioner Cherry, Commissioner Green, the Vice Chair Faulkner, Commissioner Halsey.
Aye.
Commissioner Isbell. No. Commissioner Jackson. You say aye, sir? No. Okay. Chairman Parton.
No.
Commissioner Russell. Commissioner Spangler. Commissioner Wright. Commissioner Beverly.
No.
Motion fails.
Motion fails. Any further discussion?
Chairman, if I may, I'll make a motion to grant the waiver.
Motion to grant the waiver.
Second.
Second from Commissioner Beverly. Any discussion on that motion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Oh.
Roll call again, sir.
Commissioner Carter. Commissioner Cherry.
Aye.
Commissioner Green. Vice Chair Faulkner. Commissioner Halsey.
No.
Commissioner Isbell. Commissioner Jackson. Chairman Parton. Commissioner Russell. Commissioner Spangler. Commissioner Wright. Commissioner Beverly.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Motion carries. Good luck and make us proud.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you very much, Commissioner.
Tipton County Sheriff's Office.
And next up is the Tipton County Sheriff's Office requests a criminal record waiver for Stephen James Bayless. In November of 2012, Mr. Bayless was charged with DUI in Shelby County, Tennessee. In April of 2013, Mr. Bayless pled guilty to the charge and has since satisfied all court-ordered sentencing fines and fees.
Somebody present today from Tipton County, if you are, come up and identify yourselves, please.
Lieutenant Justin Browder with Tipton County Sheriff's Office.
Stephen James Bayless.
Mr. Bayless, what are you doing right now for Tipton County?
I'm a sergeant in the jail.
Sergeant in the jail.
Yes, sir. Which I had a TCI waiver for pre-employment before I started that, sir.
That happened.
I started in May of 2019.
Thank you. Tell us a little bit about the case here.
Yes, sir. At the time, I was working a construction job and worked a long shift with a buddy at work, and he needed a ride home. And when I took him home, he said he didn't have any gas money or anything like that, but he had some whiskey if I wanted to try it, which I did. It had been a long day and wanted to try what he had, and made a mistake and got behind the wheel afterwards. And being tired and drinking definitely don't mix, but drinking and driving alone was definitely a bad idea. And at the time, it was just a bad point in my life, and I made that bad decision. And since then, I've seen the error in my ways and made corrections to amend that.
What kind of work were you involved in at that time of arrest?
I was doing non-destructive testing, doing weld x-ray.
Arrested in Shelby County?
Yes, sir. It was city of Memphis. Yes, sir.
Remember what your blood alcohol level was?
No, sir. I don't recall exactly. I know it was high. I had several shots of whiskey and immediately got behind the wheel, and that accident happened probably 10 minutes after drinking. So it was pretty high, sir.
Involved in an accident?
Yes, sir, I was.
One car or two cars?
It was one car. I was merging onto the interstate, and front end of my car got struck as I was merging on.
Two-car accident?
Well, yes, sir. Mine and one other vehicle. Yes, sir.
Anybody hurt? Transported to hospital?
No, sir.
Questions of the board?
Commissioner Wright, can you tell us about the additional charges that was related to that? Looks like it was leaving the scene, unlawful possession of firearm, a few others.
Yes, sir. All the charges total was DUI, leaving scene of an accident, no insurance, and unlawful possession of a firearm. Did not have insurance at the time. And when I was leaving the scene of an accident, when my vehicle was struck, I did spin around the interstate. And from my vantage point, it didn't seem safe to keep my car there. And I tried to circle back to the accident. However, due to the damages of my vehicle, I wasn't able to make it back to the scene. And I was not too far up the road, but I was further away from the accident. And at the time, I did have a handgun in my car. Was still in the Army at the time. And although
I knew how to handle a firearm. At that time, it wasn't law that you were able to keep it in your vehicle, but I did have one in my vehicle with me.
This is Commissioner Cherry. I'm just looking at some of this paperwork. It indicates that you got a nolle prosequi on these other charges, which that's a Latin term that just means that the state elected not to try to go forward. So those charges were dropped. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. As long as I pled guilty to the DUI, the court dismissed those
deal.
charges. Yes, sir.
Okay.
And for the DUI, I did have I was on probation for 1 year probation. My license was suspended for a year. I had the I had the interlock device in my vehicle. As long as that was in there, I could keep my license. Then I had 3 days of community service, 3 days of litter pickup, alcohol safety school, and on my own accord, I did attend AA meetings.
Commissioner Beverly.
You're recognized.
Thank you, sir. I see in October of 2013 you were arrested for driving unrevoked. Was that a violation of the ignition interlock, or what were the circumstances surrounding that?
It was, sir. My girlfriend at the time, now wife, was throwing up sick when we left the store, and I drove her car from the store to the house, and they stopped us from the store to the house. Yes, sir.
Was your probation violated at that point, or you finish your conditions?
It was right at the end of my probationary period, so they let me complete my probation successfully.
Other questions?
This Commissioner Wright, as y'all know, I'm trying to be set through timelines, and this one actually would outside of that block a little bit. So I'll make a motion to approve the waiver.
Approve the waiver by Commissioner Wright. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Have a second by Commissioner Cherry. Any discussions on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Did I hear one no? Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you.
Next up on the agenda, the Shelbyville Police Department requests a criminal record waiver for David Lewis Merlo. In October of 1994 and July of 1995, Mr. Merlo was found guilty of public intoxication. March of 1996, Mr. Merlo was found guilty of DUI second offense and assault on an officer. In November of 2000, Mr. Merlo was found guilty of possession of marijuana. Mr. Merlo has since satisfied all court-ordered sentencing, fines, and fees.
Shelbyville Police Department recognized.
Deputy Chief Brian Cruz, Shelbyville Police Department.
Sergeant Ronnie Blankenship, Shelbyville Police Department.
David Merlo.
One of y'all, Mr. Cruz.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having us here today, and thank you for upholding the standards of excellence for law enforcement officers across the state of Tennessee. A little bit about why we're here today. In our pre-employment investigation, it was determined that Mr. Merlo did have some previous charges. They were not in his criminal history, but we found those in his driving record. The reason why I stand before you today is because we believe he's a changed person. We had a number of applicants for employment during this round of interviews. After our physical agility exam and our written exam, we had 10 candidates that moved forward to our interview. Mr. Merlo, I'm proud to tell you, scored number 1 in our written exam. He also scored number 1 among our command staff in our interview panel. During our part of our employment process, we have a questionnaire that we ask all of our candidates to fill out, and Mr. Merlo presented us a book, an open book that had a number of charges on there, and they are dated, and I think if you'll hear from him, his upbringing was much different than mine. and as a young man, he had some run-ins with the law. He was a young man, 18, 19, 20 years of age. Since that time, he's worked at a local Walmart distribution center in Shelbyville, Tennessee. Most of his charges are 27 years old, but he is a candidate for employment and one that we believe in, and are willing to stand before you today to share that with you. We appreciate your time.
Thank you, Mr. Cruz. Questions of Mr. Cruz by the board? Recognize Commissioner Green.
For Mr. Malone, what are your drinking and drug habits now?
I don't do drugs at all, and drinking, I will have an occasional drink every so often, but two things has to occur. Number one, it has to be at the house, and then number two, I have to have a designated driver, which is my wife, which doesn't drink. And like I said, it's usually just an occasional drink, like at a dinner or a function.
And the marijuana that was found with you, that wasn't yours?
No, sir, it wasn't.
Okay.
Other questions? Yeah, the staff has made, this was not on his NCIC criminal history. The only reason you know about all this is because this gentleman's honesty and disclosure to the department when he applied. That says a lot to come up here before the whole state of Tennessee and be put on the record with all of that you disclosed and you didn't have to. That's pretty honorable. Any other discussion?
This is Commissioner Wright.
Yes, Commissioner.
I'm looking through here. I'm just trying to find and don't see. Could just tell us a little bit, maybe a brief synopsis of the scenario around the assault of an officer charge.
Yes, sir. So when I was I was getting booked into the county jail, and at that time, of course, we didn't have cell phones. If we did, I didn't own one. But so I was trying to make a call to get bonded out, and couldn't get a hold of anybody, and was already upset that I done made another dumb decision. And I took the phone and I slammed the phone down, and when it did, it fell off the corner of the desk. Well, that caused the jailer to jump up and I guess start to look like he was going to grab me. When he did, I pulled my arm back, and then when I pulled my arm back, I hit the officer that arrested me somewhere in the shoulder, chest area, and that's how I got this off.
Commissioner Wright, I'll make a motion to approve it.
I made a motion to approve. Commissioner Green seconded the motion. Any discussion on the motion?
Commissioner Carter, my understanding, I guess the assault was accidental, is what I'm understanding.
Yes, sir. It wasn't on purpose. It was accidental, but it was just my actions leading up to that.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry.
Further on discussion, these arrests happen in Bedford County. Is there going to be any issues with the DA's office or anything?
I don't believe so. No,
Okay.
sir.
All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Oh. You're one no. Motion carries. Thank you.
I want to thank you again.
Thank you, Mr.
hearing
Cruz.
us
Good
today.
seeing y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Waivers to attend another academy. Cleveland State Law Enforcement Training Academy requests a waiver to change academies for April Diane Lloyd. In January of 2023, Ms. Lloyd attended the Tennessee Law Enforcement Training Academy, but did not complete the training academy due to being medically discharged. Cleveland State is requesting the waiver so Ms. Lloyd may attend their academy.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion on the motion. Second was Commissioner Halsey. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Cleveland State Law Enforcement Training Academy requests a waiver to change academies for Hannah Grace Weatherly. In October of 2022, Ms. Weatherly attended the Tennessee Law Enforcement Training Academy, but did not complete the training due to medical issues. Cleveland State is requesting the waiver so Ms. Weatherly may attend their academy.
Chair makes a motion to approve.
Second.
Second by Spangler. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Hawkins County Sheriff's Office requests a waiver to change academies for Rhonda Carol Sawyer. In March of 2018, Ms. Sawyer attended the Blount County Law Enforcement Training Academy but did not complete training due to an injury. The agency is requesting the waiver so Ms. Sawyer may attend Walter State Law Enforcement Training Academy.
Chair makes a motion to approve.
Second, Halsey.
Second by Halsey. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Waiver of basic training and specialized substitutions for in-service training. Post reviewed and administratively approved 7 post-transition school waivers and all corresponding supporting documents. The reported documents either met or exceeded the minimum standards set forth by the post-commission requirements. You can see in the agenda on page 5 the list of names that were approved for the transition school. Moving on to administrative waivers, Mr. Chair, waiver of in-service, Rule 1110-09.05. Chattanooga Police Department requests a waiver of in-service for Jeremy Chad Yates, hired July 8, 2016. On December 2nd, 2021, Mr. Yates was placed on administrative leave. Mr. Yates did not complete in-service training during the 2022 calendar year. The waiver will allow the agency and the officer to remain in compliance with post guidelines.
Is Chattanooga present this morning?
Sir, this is Lieutenant David Young, the GDI for Chattanooga Police Department.
Can you go over with the board what the issue was with Mr. Yates not completing his in-service quickly?
Just real quick, sir, he was placed on administrative leave in the year 2022, pending a court case, sir. But he did complete in-service in 2021 before that, sir.
I'd ask the staff to give us this kind of weird administrative leave for criminal.
That's not uncommon for an agency, a large agency, to place an individual in an administrative leave capacity pending the outcome of a case. The waiver is just because he did not complete in service. He's not going to get a check. It's just to complete the compliance check that our rules require to keep him in compliance, to the agency in compliance.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second, Halsey.
Second by Halsey. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Chattanooga.
Brennan County Sheriff's Office requests a waiver of in-service for Kobe Dale Schism, hired May 24, 2019. Mr. Schism returned from leave on February 16, 2022, and completed 39 hours of in-service training during the 2022 calendar year. The waiver will allow both the agency and the officer to remain in compliance with post guidelines.
Is there representatives of Grundy County on this morning or present? Is him on? I can't see these boards here. I wish
He's
we had
muted.
that thing back out front like we did over at Donaldson. I can't see who I'm talking to.
He is on and he is muted and trying to speak.
Mr. Schism, you're going to have to unmute yourself, sir.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. Can you
Yes, sir.
Can you explain to the board what happened here with just the 39 hours?
Yes, there was a community involvement at a local school for a field day on March 17th. I was not on the roster, and I wasn't made aware that I wasn't or I didn't have all of my in-service until last Friday. And I've been trying to go through all this, and that's the only thing I can see that I'm missing. It should have put me in 41 hours.
Just to kind of share with the commission what I was showing Commissioner Parton, it looks like he had recorded 2 hours of the community immersion for last year, and then just had the 1 hour short for the 39 hours. That's what was reported to us. There was an administration change, new sheriff, brand new crew. Could it be that somebody misreported or didn't record correctly? That's a possibility.
I'd also like to just remind the commission too that when the change was made and the new sheriff was elected in Grundy County, both Assistant Director Bello and I traveled to Grundy County and offered our complete support, whatever help they needed, anything, just to contact us. And so we've offered, and I'm sure that was not the only time that our team has offered to help the Grundy County Sheriff's Office with their training issues.
Is there anybody from Grundy County online besides the deputy? GDI?
No, sir.
Just you, Kobe?
Yes. I've tried contacting 2 different supervisors, and I've not gotten any message or anything back.
Make a motion. Have a motion to second by Beverly. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Good luck, Deputy. You're waived.
Moving on, the Halls Police Department requests a waiver of in-service for Vincent Devon Tyus, hired April 1st, 2020. Mr. Tyus completed 41 and a half hours of in-service training, but did not complete the mental illness, officer wellness, or public assembly mandates for the 2022 calendar year. The waiver will allow both the agency and the officer to remain in compliance with post guidelines.
So, come to my attention that the officer is no longer employed with Halls Police Department, and we're just looking to keep the department in compliance. Is that my understanding?
That would be correct.
Is any questions on this matter? This gentleman doesn't work for Halls anymore. We have a motion and motion by Commissioner Green, second by Commissioner Spangler. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Hamilton County Sheriff's Office requests a waiver of in-service for Charles Lee Melhorn, hired December 14, 2022. Mr. Melhorn did not complete in-service training for the 2022 calendar year due to the timing of hire. The waiver will allow both the agency and the officer to remain in compliance with post guidelines.
I'll ask staff, is this just transition from one department to another and carrying over of training time?
Correct. He just didn't have enough time to get it in due to the date of hire.
I'll make a motion to approve the waiver.
Second, Beverly.
Second, Chair motion, Beverly is second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Hawkins County Sheriff's Office requests a waiver of in-service for Tristan Richard Petticord, hired December 1, 2022. Mr. Petticord did not complete in-service training for the 2022 calendar year due to the timing of hire. The waiver will allow both the agency and the officer to remain in compliance with post guidelines.
And I will again review the staff. It's the same situation of transfer of in the middle of training.
That'd be correct.
Chair makes a motion to approve. Commissioner Wright second. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Moving on to page 7.
Metropolitan Nashville Police Department requests in-service waivers for the following offers. Mark Irwin Bennett, hired February 1, 1991. Mr. Bennett did not complete in-service training during the 2022 calendar year. Dontavius Marquez Eubanks, hired January 12, 2015. Mr. Eubanks completed 54 hours of in-service training, but due to pending disciplinary action, did not complete all mandated topics for the 2022 calendar year. William Shannon Hamblin, hired January 1, 2013. Mr. Hamblin did not complete in-service training during the 2022 calendar year. The agency is requesting Mr. Hamblin's certification be placed in an inactive status due to missing 2 consecutive years of in-service. Keegan Michael Winchell, hired January 16, 2020. Mr. Winchell completed 54 hours of in-service training, but due to pending disciplinary action, did not complete all mandated topics for the 2022 calendar year. The waivers will allow both the agency and officers to remain in compliance with post guidelines.
See, we have Metro present this morning. Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioner. My name is Kerry Briley. I'm the post and in-service coordinator for the Metro Nashville Police Department, serving at the Police Department Training Academy. In addressing the 4 names you have in front of you, I'd like to, if we could, talk about Dontavius Eubanks and Keegan Winchell together after I discuss Mark Bennett and William Shamblin, who are present with us today. Mark Bennett has served with our department for over 30 years. Last year, he did complete community immersion, and we have a number of different components for our in-service, part of that being distance learning videos, but then there are 2 in-person days that Officer Bennett was scheduled for at the end of the year last year. I contacted him, notified him of his dates. He notified me that he was ending his going to be retiring from Metro, and that he was not he had some surgery also scheduled for the end of the year, and he was going to complete his 32 years and retire. As that date approached, he kind of spent some, in talking to Officer Bennett, he spent some time personal reflection, decided that his calling as a police officer wasn't over, and that he wanted to continue serving with the police department. So we submit this waiver concerning completion of all of his hours for in-service for 2022. And Officer Bennett is present here if you have any questions for him.
Good morning, all.
Any questions of the board? Like to say something, sir?
Yes, sir. Thank you. I'm fascinated by the process, and my ministry has always been working with youth. And I'm just curious, do you all allow or admit high school or middle school students who are seriously thinking of criminal justice to come sit in?
It's a public forum, sir. Anybody can sit out there in those chairs.
I just think that would be something that, because I work closely with the high schools and the middle school, ROTC and some of the criminal justice educators, and I'm going to work on that. They need to come in and hear and just sit down and see this process.
I wished it was where there was nothing here to talk about.
I'm sorry.
I wished it was where there was nothing to talk about it, but unfortunately in this past year or so, we've had a lot to talk about.
Absolutely. And also involving myself, the day I was to turn in all of my gear, couldn't sleep, called my lieutenant around 3:30 that morning, with text her 3:30 that morning and said, I can't go. I'm not done. And I struggled with that because I told myself after 30 plus years of working with this department, and especially specializing with working with young people, I shouldn't be feeling this way, because I have really been allowed and blessed by the department to get a lot of certification and spend a lot of time working with our youth, and not only in the schools but also in the community. And I said to myself, why am I feeling this way? Why am I feeling I'm not done? And that's why I called, text my lieutenant the day before, and that early that morning said I can't go. And that's why we're here. That's why I'm here.
Thank you, sir, and thank you for your service, and thank you for deciding to stay on. People like you are hard to find these days. So, any questions from the board?
Commissioner Ryder, we're gonna handle these just one by one. Is that, I guess?
We had started putting these on in sort of a consent agenda type format where we list everything together. The way we discussed that administratively, internally administratively, was if anything was not, if it was something that the commission would probably want to discuss, we would pull that out and have it separate.
Hey, Commissioner Wright, well, I know he had said something about handling a couple of them differently, and I know we had one in here that needed to be in an inactive status, where at the bottom it has waivers to keep the officers and agency in compliance, but there's one officer that it would not. If we want to just handle these a little faster, doing them one by one, we can do it like that, and I'll make a motion to approve Mr. Bennett's waiver.
A motion to approve. Do I hear a second? Have a second. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries on Mr. Bennett. Moving on to Mr.
Thank you all.
Eubanks.
Thank you.
In regards to William Hamblin, Officer Hamblin serves as one of our field training officers with the department. He was placed on light duty for medical reasons in late 2021 and returned to full duty earlier this year. In 2021 and 2022, he completed those components of in-service, primarily our distance learning videos that he was physically able to complete. Happy to say that he has returned to full duty with our department, serves out of the Midtown Hills Precinct as one of our field training officers. He is here present should you have any questions for him.
Do you have any questions? Hear none. We're on Hamlin. Yes, I'm
Officer
sorry.
William Hamlin.
Went to we skipped down to Hamlin. Any questions of Officer Hamlin? William
Commissioner
Hamlin.
Spangler, I'm going to approve.
Have a motion to approve. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Have a second from Commissioner Cherry. Any discussion on the motion?
Commissioner Wright, I got one quick question. Where are we at for in-service for this year? If we started any of that, got that scheduled, where are we at?
Yes, when I found out that this academy was able to get service or core in service 2 days ago. So we're attempting to expedite the process to get me back up to where I need to be.
More discussion on the motion. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. Thank you. Going back up to Eubanks.
I appreciate you. The reason I wanted to speak for just a moment regarding Dontavius Eubanks and Officer Keegan Winchell is that is a related case. In July of 2022, there was an incident that occurred and an internal investigation that ensued about 7 days later. Both of these officers were administratively, by our department definition, decommissioned throughout their investigation. Earlier this year, those investigations were completed. Officer Winchell returned to full duty in January of this year, and Officer Eubanks has returned to full duty in February of this year.
Questions? And you said they're all back on duty and everything's good.
They are. Investigations have been completed, and both of them are full duty back with our department.
And they're going to be updated and getting started and catching up with their current in-service.
Yes, sir. That's correct. Both of them are already scheduled. I have notes that Dontavius Eubanks has already completed 1 day of his 2-day in-person in-service. He's scheduled for the next one, I believe, in June next month. And Winchell is, I think both of his are scheduled in June.
Other questions? Commissioner Green, a motion to approve. Do I hear a second? Commissioner Wright, second. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Thank you. Oh, I'm sorry.
Before we let Metro go, just for clarification, you had requested that Officer Hamlin's certification be placed in an inactive status, but he's back to full duty. Just want to make sure what they approved.
No, that is correct. And I appreciate you notating that. Is we never sought, the department never sought to have him placed in an inactive status. I wasn't sure how that got added. We're just seeking a waiver from because he missed. Technically, he did not complete 2 years of in service for 2021 and 2022. Due to not physically being able to complete that. So yes, we are seeking the waiver for those 2 years of in service, but he is back to full duty, and we've got him already attending and participating in this year's in service.
I just wanted to clarify for the record what the commission approved, just so we don't place an active officer in an active status.
Yes, please don't.
But, yeah, okay.
So are we clear on what needs to be done?
Yes.
Okay. For matters, to let the board know, the chair has got an appointment and I must leave. I'm sorry to leave you fine folks here hanging. A long agenda this morning. Yes, sir, you need.
Excuse me. I just want to make sure that last vote covers both Keegan Winchell and Dontavius Eubanks. Thank you. Y'all have a good morning.
Vice Chair. Have, I'm sure, some great administrative help over here. But anyway, it's good seeing all of you. Welcome, Mr. Beverly, and best of luck to you today and safe travels home. I'll see you next month.
We're sorry you're going to miss the second half of the agenda.
See you, Sheriff.
Moving on to Shelby County.
We are Shelby County Sheriff's Office. Request a waiver of, and by the way, safe travels, Sheriff Barton. Be safe out there on the road. Request a waiver of in-service for Edward Daniel Keating, hired January 2nd, 2013. Mr. Keating did not complete in-service training for the 2022 calendar year due to being ill the week of the scheduled training. The waiver will allow both the agency and the officer to remain in compliance with post guidelines.
Shelby County.
Yes, I am the representative for the Shelby County Sheriff's Office. My name is Director Kathy Crowder, requesting a waiver for Deputy Keating for the year 2022, missed in service due to his illness. Deputy Keating has already completed in-service training for the year 2023. He went through the in-service February the 20th through the 24th of this year. We're requesting a waiver.
Questions from the commission?
Commissioner Wright, motion to approve.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carries.
All right, moving on, Chairman, to the waivers of the 6-month rule. Hardeman County Sheriff's Office requests a 6-month waiver for Christopher Todd McAlpin, hired March 27, 2023. Mr. McAlpin is scheduled to attend Toledo in October of 2023.
Anyone here from Hardeman County?
Yes.
Okay, tell us what we need to know about this, please. Identify yourself, please.
I'm sorry. Captain Collins, Hardeman County Sheriff's Office. We're requesting a 6-month waiver. Officer McAlpin was hired in March 27th of this year. We placed him in the October 1st class. It's a little bit outside the 6-month waiver. We were just trying to get him just a little bit more time to prepare for the academy and his training.
What's the pleasure of the commission?
Commissioner Spangler, I approve.
All right, do we have a second?
Second, Commissioner Beverly.
All right, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carries. Overton County Sheriff's Office.
Overton County Sheriff's Office requests a 6-month waiver for Kara Nicole Lindsay, hired September 11, 2022. Ms. Lindsay attended the Blount County Law Enforcement Training Academy January 2023, but was unable to complete the training due to a medical issue. Ms. Lindsay is scheduled to reattend the academy in August of 2023.
Anyone present from Overton County Sheriff's Office? Seeing anyone? Pleasure of the commission.
Would somebody like to make a motion?
Commissioner Spangle, I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Second.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carries. Sullivan County Sheriff's Office.
Sullivan County Sheriff's Office requests a 6-month waiver for Jack Lee Collins, hired June 13th, 2022. Mr. Collins has been unable to attend transition school due to a delay in the submission of pre-employment paperwork. Mr. Collins is scheduled to attend transition school at Toledo in June of 2023.
One present from Sullivan County Sheriff's Office. None.
Commissioner Beverly, motion to approve.
Commissioner Wright, second.
I have a question. Has all the pre-employment paperwork been completed now?
If they have been admitted into transition school, all the paperwork is in order.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Okay, moving forward.
Now, waivers of the 8-month rule. The following officers requesting a waiver of the 8-month rule. They will receive the 2022 salary supplement payment if they completed the 2022 in-service requirements. Murfreesboro Police Department requests 8-month waivers for the following officers who completed the required in-service training for the 2022 calendar year. Danny Mathis Adamson, hired October 3rd, 2005. July 5th, 2022, he retired in good standing. He completed 47 hours of in-service training for the 2022 calendar year. Alan Anthony Smith, hired May 4th, 1992. July 29, 2022, Mr. Smith retired in good standing. He completed 45 hours of in-service training for the 2022 calendar year.
One present from the Murfreesboro Police Department. Not hearing anyone. Is there a motion? Is there a second?
Commissioner Wright.
All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carries.
Portland Police Department requests an 8-month medical waiver for Novak Sheriff, hired October 10th, 2022. Mr. Sheriff completed 51 hours of in-service training for the 2022 calendar year. The waiver will allow both the agency and the officer to remain in compliance with post guidelines.
Anyone present from the Portland Police Department? Not hearing anyone. Is there a motion from the commission?
Mr. Halsey, motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second, Commissioner Beverly.
All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carries. So he's Officer Sheriff.
I was going to say that's quite a neat law enforcement officer name.
I love that. Officer Sheriff.
The Shelby County Sheriff's Office requests an 8-month waiver for the following officers who completed 44 hours of required in-service training for the 2022 calendar year. David Lee Avery, hired April 1, 1999. On June 1, 2022, he retired in good standing. Brian Andre Brooks, on May 1, 2022, he retired in good standing. Timothy Roy Mackin, hired August 16, 95. April 1, 2022, he retired in good standing. John Patrick Shields, on June 1, 2022, he retired in good standing. Clarence Turks Jr., on August 1, 2022, he retired in good standing.
Anyone present from the Shelby County Sheriff's Office? Are you pointing to somebody?
Yes, Director.
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead. Identify
Yes,
yourself.
yes,
again,
ma'am.
please. For the record, identify
Hello?
yourself again.
Yes, ma'am. I'm Director Kathy Crowder over the training for the Shelby County Sheriff's Office. And yes, we request for the 8-month waiver for the 5 individuals that's on the agenda due to retirement.
Approve.
Okay, we have a motion to approve, a second by Commissioner Green. All in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carries. Thank you, ma'am.
The Williamson County Sheriff's Office requests
You're welcome.
8-month waivers for the following officers who completed their in-service training during the 2022 calendar year. Danny Maurice Booker, he retired in good standing. He completed 52 hours of in-service training. David Carey Grisham, he retired July 8th, 2022 in good standing. He completed 52 hours of in-service training in 2022. Charles English Norman, on July 8th, 2022, he retired in good standing. He completed 52 hours of in-service training for the 2022 calendar year.
One present from the Williamson County Sheriff's Office. Is there a motion by the commission? Green says approve. Any Wright says second. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carries.
Moving on to 11-10-09-06. Hamilton County Parks and Recreation requests medical in-service waivers for the following officers. Kenneth Howard Boyd, hired March 25th, 2008. On September 1st, 2022, Mr. Boyd was placed on medical leave. He completed 22 hours of in-service training during the 2022 calendar year. Gwendolyn Diane Maynor, from June of 2021 to present, she has received ongoing medical treatment. Ms. Maynor completed 19 hours of in-service training during the 2022 calendar year. And Elizabeth Lynn Spalding, hired August 1, 2017, and August 10, 2021. Ms. Spalding was injured on the job, received a medical waiver for the 2021 calendar year, and has not completed any in-service training during the 2022 calendar year.
Do we have a representative from the Hamilton County Parks and Recreation?
Yes, Lieutenant Mike Robertson.
Okay. Is there anything else the commission needs to know about these individuals? No? All right. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Is there anything else you'd like to elaborate on regarding these individuals?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Is there a motion?
Commissioner Wright, I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Mr. Beverly, second.
All right. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carries.
Hendersonville Police Department requests a medical waiver of in-service for Sean Pierre Sims, hired July 12, 2007. On April 7, 2022, he was placed on medical leave. He did not complete the required in-service training for the 2022 calendar year. The waiver will allow both the agency and the officer to remain in compliance with post guidelines.
Did we have a representative from the Hendersonville Police Department? Would you identify yourself, sir?
Yes, Commander Larry Daniel, Hendersonville Police.
Thank you, Commander. Is there anything else you'd like to say about this?
I just spoke with him this morning. He was going to try to be online. I don't believe he is now. Detective Sims came down with lung cancer the past year. He's been receiving therapy, and he told go well for him. He's trying to get his lungs to heal now, but that's why we're.
Sorry to hear that. We pray for his recovery. We have a motion to approve. Commissioner Green, and did you second?
Commissioner Wright will. Spangler did.
Spangler seconded. She's looking at me, giving me evil looks. All in favor of the motion? Any opposed? Okay, the motion carries.
Knox County Sheriff's Office requests medical in-service waivers for the following officers. Tammy Michelle Brummett. On May 27, 2022, Ms. Brummett was placed on medical leave. She received medical waiver for the 2021 calendar years, completed 16 hours of in-service training during the 2022 calendar year. Curtis Nathaniel Cole on June 22nd, 2022. He was placed on medical leave. Mr. Cole did not complete any in-service training during the 2022 calendar year. Gregory Kenneth Faulkner on January 1, 2022. He was placed on medical leave. Mr. Faulkner received a medical waiver for the 2021 calendar year and has completed 36 hours of in-service training during the 2022 calendar year. Nina Renee Hummel on November 23rd, 2022. She was placed on medical leave. Ms. Hummel has completed 36 hours of in-service training during the 2022 calendar year. Anthony Lee Carnes on July 12, 2022. Mr. Carnes was placed on medical leave. He did not complete any in-service training during the 2022 calendar year. And Allison Luann Watkins on May 17, 2022. Ms. Watkins was placed on medical leave. Ms. Watkins did not complete any in-service training during the 2022 calendar year.
Is there a representative from the Knox County Sheriff's Office besides the sheriff?
There is.
Could you identify yourself, please? I'm sorry. I stepped on you.
Lieutenant Chris Bryant, the training director for Knox County.
All right. Is there anything else on this, Lieutenant, you'd like to advise the commission of?
Just to advise that Officer Tammy Brummett and Curtis and Nathan Cole have both been medically retired since the waiver was put in for. And Officer Renee Hummel has actually come back from light duty as of last month, and she will be attending full in-service this year.
Is there a motion from the commission?
Commissioner Beverly, motion to approve.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carries. Thank you, Lieutenant.
The Metropolitan Nashville Police Department requests medical waivers of in-service for the following officers that are on your agenda on page 13 who did not complete any in-service training during the 2022 calendar year. You can see the list of officers there on page 13 of the agenda.
Morning. My name is Kerry Briley. I'm the in-service coordinator for the Metro Nashville Police Department.
Anything else we need to know on this, Sergeant?
Of the names you have before you, I can't say that they didn't complete any in-service. Most of them completed varying amounts of our in-service. Again, part of our in-service is video-based. The main thing is they were unable to attend all of our in-person that required them to physically be at our academy for training. Of the names in front of you, I will mention just a couple. Jared Reichel has retired from our department. Christopher Sufer, Joseph Simonik, Noble Stella, and Matthew Stevenson remain on light duty with our department. Everyone else, I'm happy to say, has returned to full duty with our department and our schedule and participating in service.
Okay, do I have a second?
Commissioner Wright, second.
Right, second. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carries. Thank you, Sergeant.
Thank you, ma'am.
Moving on to the Shelby County Sheriff's Office requests medical and service waivers for the following officers. Alexis Angelique Jameson. In 2022, she was placed on medical leave due to pregnancy. She did not complete any in-service training during the 2022 calendar year. Amani Andrea Craighead. Ms. Craighead was placed on medical leave due to pregnancy. She completed 36 hours of in-service training during the 2022 calendar year. Kenneth Bernard Robertson, November 3rd, 2022, he was placed on medical leave. Mr. Robertson received a medical waiver for the 2021 calendar year and has not completed any in-service during the 2022 calendar year. Maheda Ramadina Shackelford. In 2022, Ms. Shackelford was placed on medical leave. Ms. Shackelford completed 36 hours of in-service training during the 2022 calendar year. And Ronnie Allen Turner II. On October 22nd of 2022, Mr. Turner was placed on medical leave. He completed 4 hours of in-service training during the 2022 calendar year.
All right, ma'am, there you are again. Identify yourself for the record, please.
Yes, ma'am. Director Kathy Crowder for the Shelby County Sheriff's Office Training Academy, requesting medical waivers for 5 of our employees. Documentation was submitted from the physician, and are requesting for those waivers for medical.
Are they still on medical leave?
I can go through the names and go over the ones that's still on medical leave. Kenneth Bernard Robertson, he's still currently on medical leave, and the rest of the employees has returned back to full duty status as of 2023.
We have all the necessary documentation to proceed. Okay. Mr. Bello is signifying by saying yes. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve, Halsey.
All right. A second?
Commissioner Spangler, second.
All right. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carried. Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome.
Waivers for military leave. Post has reviewed and administratively approved 27 military waivers and corresponding supporting documents. All the documents are in order and meet or exceed the minimum standards set forth by the Post Commission. Moving on to applications for training officer. Post investigators have reviewed and approved 3 applications for training officer that meet the criteria for approval. There are none that need 1 year to complete the instructor development course or an approved substitute.
We need to vote on the other 3 applications. They've been approved. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
A motion, please.
Motion to approve.
A second.
Second.
All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carries.
Applications for certified instructor. Post investigators received and reviewed approximately 12 applications for certified instructor. The applicants meet minimum standards and have completed the minimum hours and attendance of required courses. There are none that require 1 year to complete instructor development. There are, however, 3 officers listed on the agenda on page 15 that require a waiver of the 1 year training officer requirement.
Commissioner Spangler, motion to approve.
Right, all in favor of the motion, yes.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carries.
Curriculum and tests. Post investigators have reviewed and approved 123 in-service and specialized training classes this month. They appear in order and meet or exceed minimum standards set forth by the Peace Officer Standards and Training Commission. There are notations made if those courses have the mandated training.
Motion on this?
Commissioner Wright, motion to approve.
We have a second?
Second.
All right. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion's approved.
We have no old business, Chairman, and ready to move on to new business. We have an agreed order of suspension. Josiah Derek Blackney. Mr. Blackney was employed by the Chattanooga Police Department from December 2nd, 2016 until his termination for disciplinary reasons on November 22nd, 2019. He's agreed to a 4-month suspension of his post-certification. Do you have any additional information? And we'll go to Dennis Gregory of Legal.
Thank you. To give you a little background on this matter in our new business, the little factual background, I suppose. This stemmed from a complaint that was lodged by a citizen that was arrested by Officer Blakeney in April of 2019. So this particular person made a complaint to Internal Affairs regarding an arrest that respondent being Officer Blakeney, made on August 16, 2018. An investigation by Internal Affairs concluded that the respondent lacked sufficient probable cause to make the arrest and properly initiated physical contact with the complainant and directed profanity at the complainant. Now, the respondent's employment was terminated for disciplinary reasons in November 2019. Now, for my discussions with Mr. Blakeney's attorney, no one is here to my knowledge, but in any event, there is no follow-on civil rights suit that's pending. Essentially, the matter is over. The individual that, for lack of a better way of putting it, got crossways with the officer, his charges were dismissed. There was a DUI that he was charged with, so that's all been dismissed and expunged. And Officer Blakeney has not re-entered law enforcement to my knowledge since then. So. This is an offer. Obviously, it's up to the commission as to whether we want to accept the 4-month suspension, or this would move into a formal hearing if not.
What's the pleasure of the commission?
Commissioner Wright, I make a motion we send it to the informal.
Motion is to send it for an informal hearing. Do we have a second?
That'd be it would go to a formal.
It go to a formal?
Right.
Okay.
It has, this Commissioner Wright, has Chattanooga put in for decertification on him? Is that what they did?
Yes.
And it has not been to an informal. It has already been to an informal.
Has been to an informal, right.
Okay.
This would be just an offer to settle it without the benefit of a formal.
I'll change my motion to send it to a formal.
The second.
Second, Commissioner Beverly.
I have a question from council. How long has he been out of law enforcement? Does this 4 months push him to where he loses his certification? Has he been on administrative leave in a non-sport capacity for a period of time?
He hasn't been in law enforcement since 2019. So, but his certification has never been decertified.
Has he had waivers to continue his certification while he's been on administrative leave? Would this 4 months mean he would have to either go back to an academy or go back through transition school? That's my question.
Correct. He would have to go back through transition school regardless at this point due to his break in service. His certification is currently inactive because he's not employed with anybody in full-time capacity.
So this status, if we were to approve this 4-month suspension, for him to come back into law enforcement, he would have to come before the board and ask for a waiver. Attend
yes.
Either one or the other. Okay, that's all I needed.
Right. I guess my thinking behind it is if we send him to a formal, I mean, that's going to kind of settle it then. Do you want to keep your law enforcement or do you not? And if you do, then come let us know what the case is behind it.
I seconded. Commissioner Beverly.
All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Okay, the motion carries for a formal hearing. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct. And our team will work to set that. If I could have one moment for just a brief question for the commission on new business. With a lot of these waivers that are not controversial, like the medical waivers, 8-month retirements, when I spoke with legal, and would the commission favor, for the sake of efficiency, doing something similar to what we do for transition school, where we list a little bit more information, the name, the PSID, the department, and maybe date of retirement, or the pertinent information that's necessary. And then that way we can, instead of having departments appear, for the retirement or for, standard medical waivers, that the commission could handle all of those at one time with one vote, which would speed things up for us. Our team is really good at evaluating these waiver requests. And so if there's something that comes across that looks a little hinky or off, that the commission would need to take a look at, then that would be something we would pull out of that. But just in the interest of, really in the interest of efficiency and saving some of these departments the time of appearing, that might be something. That's something I'm asking the commission if y'all would consider.
Commissioner Wright, so I guess you're asking if you could administratively approve them like you do now, and then them all still be listed, or just say 100, and if there's 100, just 100 that were administratively approved.
We could even put that on a consent agenda and print that out separately. Of these are all the in-service matters that have been administratively approved.
Yeah, that'd probably be a better word.
And we would provide the information, the waivers, in the to the commissioners as we do. So there wouldn't be any transparency issues. It's just a lot of these matters are issues that they get approved, and so. Because there's nothing controversial about them. I mean, somebody retires, they retire. And I don't think I'm not sure the commission's ever voted against approving somebody that did their in-service and the 8-month waiver and that worked, their career in law enforcement and then retired. So it would just, I think, make it more efficient, would save us time, and would give us an opportunity to spend more time perhaps on more pressing matters.
And several of those waivers by rule state, like the 8-month waiver, it says if you've completed your in-service before you retire, you're going to get paid. So by rule, and we're just kind of checking a box. So yeah, it would speed things up.
Commissioner Wright, I guess my question would be for legal. Do we need a motion on that to have that, or is it just a yes, no vote, or?
I'd say just do it yes, no vote.
All in favor of yes?
Yes.
Any opposed, say no. There you go.
All right, we appreciate that. Thank you all very much. And I want to also commend our post team on salary supplements. I don't know how many we've got left to process, but that number is probably in the small single digits. And they've just done an incredible job to put things together. So it's really proud of our team. So thank you.
Any further business by the commission other than the next?
Yeah, we'll just need to know who's staying for the formal so we can make sure we have a quorum, and we'll take a short break and move on.
Commissioner Spangler, make a motion to adjourn.
Second. All in favor of the adjourn, signify by saying aye. Any opposed? All right.
How long is this adjournment for?